Paul Gary Turner, 43 years of age, and Sarah Marie Thomas, a 33-year-old mother of 2 at the time of the incident, met online in 2008 and started a long-term relationship. The couple were together for 8 years and had 2 children. Paul had British commando combat training. He trained in lethal artery slashing techniques and knife concealment in his late 20s, and continued to practice during the time the couple were together. Emma Howden, Sarah's sister, testified that Sarah was very unhappy in the relationship and that in the last year before the separation, the couple had been fighting constantly. The couple finally separated in August 2016 and Sarah won the custody rights of both children. Agreements were made after the separation, but Paul was unhappy with not being able to see his kids during Christmas. So days before the incident, he asked to change the agreement regarding his custody rights for special occasions. Paul also accused Sarah of owing him $2,000. Sarah then involved a lawyer to deal with the visitation rights. A pre-trial hearing in the courthouse was arranged with a court officer so both could solve their most urgent disagreements. The crime. On the day of the meeting, Paul smuggled a kitchen knife into the courthouse. He was captured on CCTV footage sitting in the waiting room moments before the attack. He was holding a lever arch folder. The knife was hidden there or in his shorts pocket. He kept the knife concealed and waited for the right time to strike. Before the meeting started, a witness said Paul seemed happy, and he was very friendly to everyone. Paul then brought the knife to the interior of the conference room. The incident happened while a court officer was inside the room, but Paul took advantage he had stepped away to open the door to attack. Paul produced the knife, dove over the table, and stabbed Sarah 6 times in the face, head, neck, and shoulder while she was still in her seat. A witness outside the conference room testified hearing a muffled yelling and then a loud scream. The witness added to having seen the court officer running out of the conference room, shouting for security and an ambulance. Once the victim had succumbed to the attack, Paul left the room and sat with his back against the wall. According to a witness, Paul had a smug look on his face. A security guard who was the first arriving at the scene said he saw Sarah on her hands and knees in a pool of blood. Quote, "It sounded like she was choking on her own blood." Unquote. The security guard then called an ambulance and removed the knife from Paul. Paul remained seated on the floor until detectives and security guards came to arrest him. He was apprehended without offering resistance. The trial. Forensic reports revealed Sarah suffered 6 stab wounds, 3 of them in the neck area, which caused a rupture of the carotid artery, killing her in a matter of seconds. The report also included that the victim had a laceration across her left index finger, which is a typical defensive wound in cases of stabbing. During the trial, Paul Turner claimed to have suffered from a dissociative seizure that left him with no memories of the incident. He testified to have been a victim of a car accident while at work in 2015, and this accident left him with severe symptoms, including seizures that caused blackouts, sometimes lasting more than 45 minutes. He said he had no recollections of the incident. Paul claimed the last thing he remembered was speaking with his children in the morning, and his next memory was being in a police station with blood on his hands. However, after the CCTV footage was shown to him, he then admitted to having killed her. Quote, "It appears that way, but I didn't intentionally kill her." Unquote. In response to Paul's claims that he was not conscious when he committed the murder, prosecutors brought a specialist to testify in court. The specialist challenged Paul's claims by saying there had never been a case of a person suffering from a dissociative seizure who has committed a violent act. The defense counsel Lisa Boston admitted he had been intent, but it only happened during the morning because the defendant had been under a lot of stress and severe prolonged depression. The prosecutor pointed out the fact that Paul brought a knife to the courthouse, and he hid it either in his shorts or in the folder, was an irrefutable proof of premeditation. The prosecutor also said Paul knew perfectly well what he was doing during the attack. He showed himself proud after the murder, and his intention was to make a public statement. This is the reason he chose a public location, because he knew it would cause the maximum impact. Sentence. Paul Gary Turner was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 24 years before being eligible for parole. He showed no emotions while the sentence was read out. Emma Howden, sister of the victim, said although happy with the sentence, Paul should never have been able to bring a knife to the courthouse in the first place. The courthouse should have been a safe place for Sarah. Quote, "We are very happy with the sentence. It's the highest we could expect. We've got some kind of finality now, so we can try to move on with our lives and bring up the kids the best we can. She was the most gorgeous person you could meet. She had the time for everybody. It's a huge loss in our lives to not have her here. However, Turner should never have been able to kill her in a courthouse where she should have been safe. Everyone has that right, whether it be male or female, it doesn't matter, they should be safe and secure walking into a government building." Unquote.